Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on something to do with the Flash movie, which I wasn't expecting to do, and then some other DC news as well. So one of the biggest mysteries, I guess, of the past couple of weeks, and also a bit of a controversy relating to the Flash movie, was the Jay Garrick cameo that takes place in the final act of the film within the Speed Force as the various worlds in the multiverse are starting to collide upon each other. Of course, in this cameo, this Jay Garrick is within the world of the George Reeves Superman world, within his own sort of like Speed Force area. Now, it was controversial around the time that the movie actually came out, as many assumed it was meant to be the Teddy Sears looking sort of fake Jay Garrick from the Flash season 2, but this was later denied by Teddy Sears that he had, he hadn't filmed anything for the movie at the very least. And then Warner Brothers sources themselves came out and said that this Jay Garrick was just like a computer generated random Jay Garrick and not affiliated with any prior version of the actor, or the character might I say, in live action. And that itself became a big issue over the past week when the whole actors strike started in Hollywood, because one of their bigger fights is against the use of AI, and this Jay Garrick scene, if it was just made up by a computer, despite looking quite a lot like Teddy Sears, is sort of a step in the direction of the future worries for respective actors in the industry. But now, about a week or so into that actor strike, it has come out that it actually wasn't a computer generated, character and just this random creation, despite that being said by that source connected to Warner Brothers, and it actually is someone real, and it's someone actually already connected to the film itself and worked on it. So recently, via an interview with Frame.io Insider, that's the website, Jason Ballantyne and Paul Matchless, hopefully I'm pronouncing those names correctly, probably not because I'm an idiot, but they were talking about the editing process within the Flash film and certain elements around it. And when asked about certain Easter eggs within the film, they arrived at the Speed Force or Chronoball sequence in the third act, where it was revealed who actually was, this Jay Garrick. And Jason Ballantyne said this when talking about the Jay Garrick characters specifically. DJ, our visual effects supervisor, said, "Well, if we're going to have a digital character that large on screen, then it would be better to have a real face just to help with the look of the shot. And so I stuck my hand up. My arm nearly flew off my shoulder to volunteer to have an opportunity to have my face stuck on the original Flash." So there you have it. Jason Ballantyne was the one that said that. He is Jay Garrick. He is one of the editors from the film. So yeah, one of the editors from the film was the Jay Garrick, and I guess bonus points, maybe for me, myself, he is also Australian. I think both Paul and Jason, the two editors, are Australian. So is it a bit of a stretch to say that Jay Garrick is Australian now? I mean, probably. Now, I think the important thing that this crosses out is the potential AI worries, specifically using the Flash as an example. Though you could argue with the character or the actors that have passed away and them using their appearances. I mean, you could argue that, but a lot of the worries were about randomly creating people through maybe some like AI system where they just combine to like a Ryan Gosling and Brad Pitt or something, and create some AI person or actor for a future project down the line. And a lot of people thought the Jay Garrick one looked too similar to Teddy Sears, but also not exactly like him at the same time, as if he'd been combined with someone. So there were worries there. But yeah, people were using this as a prime example, which was fair at the time, but now that's been squashed. And when you look at Jason here and that Jay Garrick, you can see it's a scan of his face clearly, while also still looking weirdly like Teddy Sears at the same time. Maybe that's just a unfortunate coincidence, considering the drama that it caused in the month prior to this being confirmed. Now, there is some other interesting stuff in that interview in regards to like the editing process and even like the choice of music and just some other behind the scenes stuff if you want to read through it. I will leave it linked in the description down below for anyone that's interested in clicking on it, reading it, everything like that. But for that part of the video at the very least, that's it. But the other thing to go over in this video is some news regarding Aquaman 2 or Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which has been a movie that's just been lingering there, sort of just waiting to come out, though we don't really have any promo stuff for it yet. Like, a lot of people think we might get something before Blue Beetle, but then again, will they release a trailer? Who knows what's going to happen there. But anyway, this was supposed to come out before The Flash. So The Flash has been out for over a month now. This was meant to come out like months before it. But now there is a new report from the Hollywood Reporter about the film, and this is what they had to say for the most part. Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom is in uncharted waters, with the next several weeks potentially setting its course for good or for ill. The sequel to Warner Brothers' 2018 DC movie is coming off a round of reshoots that occurred in New Zealand in in mid-June and involves stars including Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson, according to multiple sources. This is the third round of reshoots for the movie, directed by James Wan. That is almost an unprecedented number, even for a movie this scale. So yeah, that's a very important thing to mention. Like a third round of reshoots, like technically you have some pickups and stuff like that, but the actual term of reshoots and having that many is sort of crazy. Now, this might not be a bad thing, which I think they actually do mention later in the article. It might not be a bad thing that there's actually faith to go back and do more reshoots, because they might know where the errors are, or they're reshooting stuff to maybe fill the gaps. Because one of the criticisms that's sort of come out about the film is that the story doesn't make sense because they've had to sort of remove stuff. So maybe that's what these new reshoots, potentially add. While the timeline is not clear, from summer 2022 to the beginning of 2023, The Lost Kingdom underwent 2 rounds of reshoots and held several uninspiring test screenings. After one round of test screenings, new Warner's film bosses, DeLuca and Abdi, got involved, as they were running point on DC until Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav could find a permanent DC boss to replace Hamada. Sources say that in the fall, Abdi took a strong creative stance and got involved in the editing of one cut. However, when that version tested, it scored lower than the previous version. That led to another round of reshoots. Different versions of executives notwithstanding, it is unclear what the problems were, but one insider said the issue of story clarity has been an ongoing concern, which is what we just mentioned before. And who would have thought someone that's not a director or an editor is making deciding on a cut? It didn't go well. Who would have been surprised by that? Maybe they shouldn't be the ones editing the goddamn movie. But anyway, let's move on. Also a concern, the Batman, or Batman. Walter Hamada wanted Michael Keaton's version of the character to be akin to Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury in the Marvel movies, an elder statesman who could pop up in various films, including the now-shelved Batgirl, as well as The Lost Kingdom. But shifting release dates muddled things. At one point, The Lost Kingdom was set to open in March 2023, several months before Keaton's return in June 2023's The Flash, so in late July 2022, 2 months after Abdi and DeLuca took over Warner Brothers, Ben Affleck joined a round of reshoots as Bruce Wayne to replace a scene that Michael Keaton shot. But then the movie was moved again, this time to after The Flash, putting Affleck's appearance in question. The latest cut of the film features neither version of The Dark Knight, according to sources, as new DC heads James Gunn and Peter Safran do not want to promise a movie universe that will not come to fruition, nor tie it down excessively to past failures. It was pretty chaotic, said one source. Gunn is said to have weighed in on the most recent cut, and the leadership approved a 5-day shoot. Sources say the shoot went so well that James Wan and company completed what they needed in only 4 days. And to some, the fact that Warner's is willing to keep spending money to make the film better shows that the studio has faith in The Lost Kingdom. And that's a big thing around this movie, is that it's coming off being the biggest DC movie ever. Previously, it made more money than The Dark Knight, it made more money than Joker. It's literally number one when it comes to a DC film. Not a comic book movie as a whole. They're still, well over $1 billion away from that. But yeah, it's the biggest DC movie ever, the first Aquaman. And you can understand why they would want to, keep faith in that and put a bit more money into it to try and repeat that, because DC as a brand needs that win in the box office. Of course, we have Blue Beetle coming out in, a month in America, if we're in Australia, 2 months. Don't know why we're getting a month late. God damn, middle of September we have to wait for that. But anyway, that's coming out in about a month. That could work well, and that could be a sign for good things coming for DC. However, they were relying on The Flash to be this big blockbuster. Analysts are still confused as to what happened. Obviously, people on Twitter think they know, but I mean, the analysts themselves are like, what the hell happened here? I'm sure Warner Brothers is still questioning it as well. So hopefully things go good there. Even just for the sake of what's coming in 2 years from now with James Gunn's Superman Legacy and what he has planned after that, because you'd want some sort of success before rather than coming off some disasters. So who knows if that's going to be the case. Now, the fact that James Gunn has sort of weighed in on what's happening and everything is, I guess, is a good sign at the same time. While, I have faith in James Wan, not Gunn, but James Wan, because I really like the first Aquaman. It's not my favorite, but it's probably the top 4, or probably top 4 of the DCEU movies, maybe a top 3. Probably it changes because it depends on how you're feeling, I guess. But I love the first Aquaman, so I'm really excited for this second one, despite all this drama that's going on. And I'm very interested to see what the issue is with the story. I know that it's meant to be a bit, not political, but a bit maybe, I don't know if preachy is the best thing, but it's a lot about conservation of the waters and then the environment. But I don't know exactly how that's tackled, because you can have a message, but it's about how you go about telling that message and pushing that message. Like if you're shoving it down people's throats in a way that affects the movie and the flow on of the actual story, okay, then you've stuffed it up. And maybe that's where things are being reworked. But the fact that Warner Brothers is willing to give up that money to make it work and do some stuff here is a good sign. And maybe that they see that there's a potential there. It's just about putting the pieces together right. Because they might have a Lego set here that's meant to build, I don't know, a statue of Aquaman. They're putting it together and they're coming up with Paddington Bear or something. And it's like, hey, we're missing a few pieces or we're not following the instructions. So hopefully that's cleaned up. But James Wan, great director. I'd be very, very surprised if he's actually delivering something that is objectively bad. So maybe the test screenings, aren't a sign of things. I mean, like everyone says the Flash movie is horrible and that had some of the best test screenings ever for Warner Brothers. So who knows what's gone wrong? We'll wait and see. End of the year hopefully comes out. It might get delayed, but that's a wait and see. That might depend on the actor's strike, but at least DC has wiggle room next year where they can delay it if they want to. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be awesome. You could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on the stuff we went over in this video. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.